Hi, welcome to Astrobabble. I'm Donna from Donna B Astrology.
And I'm Linda from Scullywag Astrology.
We're here to talk about the full moon in Leo. It's going to happen at 27 degrees, 59 minutes. So really at the end of the sign.
Yes, or the end of 27 degrees of Leo. So yeah, it's an interesting chart.
It is.
Yep.
While you're doing that, thank you very much for all of your technical work. You've been doing a great job. You did the website. It was wonderful. You did a really good job. Thank you. So with that, everybody can get us and contact us through astrobabble.com. And
that's astro-babble.com. So okay. Yeah.
More technical. Yes, every character has a signification. That's for sure. Okay, so starting off with the full moon in Leo. If you are a Leo, sun sign, rising sign, or ascendant, or moon sign, this will be happening in your first house. The full moon is how you show or present to the world. So if this is happening in your first house, in Leos, this is happening. You're going to change your or acquire or finish any kind of projects that you've started on yourself. This is all about the self. So if you wanted to get your hair cut, this would be a good time to get that done. That kind of thing. So things that you are acquiring.
Particularly since Venus and Mercury are both direct now, so you don't have to worry so much about drama with those two going on either. But yeah. And if you're Cancer, rising, sun or moon, this will be in your second house. So full moons are about culminations or endings or reaching an apex. It's like the harvest. At the new moon, you plant the seeds, and at the full moon, you reap the harvest. So you might be finishing up negotiations to do with your income or with financial matters, or buying something. You might be buying something, a large possession, or something that cost a bit, like, a really nice watch or jewelry or something like that.
Very nice. And if you are a Gemini, this full moon is going to be happening in your third house. And that is all about your community. So what you are trying to accomplish in your community, or maybe even something to do with your brothers or sisters, or early education. So any of those areas are going to be getting that full moon energy where things are, it's harvest time. It's time to get things and bring them to fruition.
And if you're a Taurus, rising, moon or sun, this will be happening in your fourth house. So this might have something to do with your parents, because the fourth house is associated with our parents. So parents might be moving on to a new stage in their life. It might be like, they've raised their family now, and now they're empty nesters, or, they're leaving the home that they raised their children in and now moving to a retirement area. They've reached a peak, and that peak is happening, and then there's usually after that peak a new beginning sort of thing. It could also have something to do with real estate matters or your home. So you might be finalizing deals to do with your home or your living situation. You might be signing a new rental agreement, a lease, or buying that house or something significant like that.
Oh, good. And then Aries, if Aries is your sun, moon, or rising or ascendant, this is going to be happening. The full moon is going to be happening in your house of creativity. or children. It's your fifth house. Known for, could be gambling, could be pleasure. So if you are wanting to finish up an art project, this would be this is the energy that you would be waiting for to get that done, because this will help you finish it.
Yeah, great time for finishing creative projects and fun activities.
Yes.
And if you're Pisces rising sun or moon, this will be happening in your sixth house, which is the house of, I was going to say health, but it's often illness. So if you've been struggling with, issues and going to get diagnostics, this might be a time when you actually find out what's happening. Or if you've been ill, maybe this is a time when, that's coming to an end, which would be lovely. It's also the house associated with pets. So there might be endings or culminations to do with pets. I say that, and that sounds a little bit dire. You might think, oh my God, the dog's going to die. But it could be, the dog, graduates from obedience school, or, it's got some attention on it for some reason. Maybe you post it on Instagram and it goes, maybe not viral, but maybe, gets a lot of likes or something like that.
Yeah, our pets. Yeah, it would be a good time to get your pet registered for school if it needs to. A lot of people got pets over the pandemic.
Oh, that's a good point.
Time to get those pets educated. This is the time to do that.
Now that they actually are allowed to kind of go and sniff other people.
Yeah, it's a little bit more social. Okay, and if you are Aquarius, this house, or the full moon, is going to be happening in your seventh house, and this is the energy of the end of, you're accumulating something for relationships, the one-on-one relationships. So if you're trying to get an appointment with somebody, with one person, this is the time to do it. With a marriage, this is happening, and this mansion is happening with the 12th. The moon is happening in the 12th mansion, and that has everything to do with marriage or building. So if Aquarius is in your first house and you are contemplating on marriage, the signs say that it is a good time for you to get married. It is a positive aspect as far as the moon mansions are concerned, which is usually used with electional astrology. There's about 12 things associated with the moon mansions, and maybe 5 or 7 negative things. And if I were to read them all for every time that moon moved in another mansion, it's going to go through about 12 mansions, or at least 6 mansions in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, it moves every 2.5 signs. So yeah, that's 12 mansions. In 2 weeks, it's going to go through half of those. So that would be a lot of reading. And this podcast would be a 3-hour-long podcast. So they do work. They work for electional astrology. When I got married, I looked back quickly on when I got married on the moon mansion. It said it was negative for ornaments. And I was like, who wears ornaments? But I remembered I burnt my veil. And that was that was the moon mansion. So in a setting, you can be prepared for things like when you would leave for a vacation, not necessarily the last third of the day, but maybe the first third of the day.
Yeah, those are I need to check when I went on my first trip to the US, and it took 40 hours. Should have taken like 19. Yeah, I need to go back and see what moon mansion was happening then.
Yeah, they're all listed in Ben Dyke's book for Choices and Inception. That's where the mansions are listed. So, but they are listed as Dorothea spoke them thousands of years ago. They're not listed in modern language. So you have to kind of get that intuition going of what does that mean. And my veil is was a negative on the ornaments. So going back to Aquarius, yeah, if the full moon is going to be hitting in your 7th house, so this is the time to get your one-on-one appointments done, and you'll be able to get those together.
This would be, and in romantic relationships, you might be taking the next step. You might be moving in together or getting engaged or getting
Exactly.
married or something big, maybe joining, some sort of finances together, which is probably more of an 8th house matter, which is the next one for Capricorn. But the 8th house is other people's money. So if you've already moved in with someone, you might decide at this time that now's a good time to kind of pool your resources and, pay those debts off together. Or you might be in a business relationship with someone and sorting out those negotiations. You could be getting divorced and finalising that financial agreement. Or it could be an inheritance that, it's gone through probate and everything, and it's finishing at this time.
Yeah, I see that Venus and Mars are in that sign too. That's
And Pluto, yeah.
yeah. That's a power struggle, and that will also be included in that 8th house stuff. With Sagittarius, if that happens to be your sun, rising, or moon sign, it's going to happen in your 9th house, and that's going to be reflective, and you're going to be reaping the rewards of that higher education. You're going to be reaping the rewards of maybe a legal matter might be coming to an end. But this is all signifying the legal and higher education philosophy, what you're thinking. If you're wanting to start out on a new kind of education, this would be a good time to get those books and get that appointment with the school registrar.
Yeah, and it's also good for esoteric subjects too, like astrology or tarot, all those sorts of things, and other cultures, other beliefs, including religion, that sort of thing too. Maybe, you've been undertaking some study regarding one of those subjects too, not just higher education.
Right.
Or maybe travel.
Travel far off, that's right. That is one of the significations of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're Scorpio, ascendant, moon or sun, this would be happening in your 10th house. So this might have something to do with your career. It might be, some sort of promotion or bonus or some sort of recognition. The 10th house is a very visible house, so you're likely to have a lot of light on you. I mean, the full moon is as bright as the moon gets. So you want to make sure you're kind of behaving. You don't want to have bad attention on you. But yeah, also it might not relate so much to your career. Sometimes it's just for whatever reason you're getting a lot of attention. You might be getting married, you might be having a baby, you might be getting some sort of honor or reward, but it's also the house of infamy as well as fame. So
right. What you're known for.
Yeah, so if you got something to hide, watch out.
Because the light is definitely on you. That's for sure. Okay, so if you are a Libra and in your sun, moon, or ascendant, this full moon's going to happen in your 11th house, and that is your house of hopes and dreams. It's your hope. It's your house of groups and your house of friends. What could possibly happen with that is it'll move more into the spotlight. It's going to shine more. It's going to be that sun energy, that Leo type of energy where you want it to be highlighted.
If you're a Virgo rising sun or moon, this will be happening in the 12th house. And the 12th house is called the house of our undoing. It's often linked to addictions or escapism. It's also retreat and places of confinement. So sometimes prisons or hospitals. So it could be some sort of completion or apex of one of these things. You know, you could be being released from jail, you could be released from prison, or perhaps you've gone on a retreat and you've finished that retreat during this time. Or it could be, you know, there's some sort of personal failing or personal something that's been tripping you up, something that, you know, a bad habit or an addiction. Maybe you overcome it at this time. So that's the possibility.
That sounds really good. It's a good thing to work on for sure. For sure. Yep. Yeah. All the astrology works, if you listen to it, can help you improve on what you're trying to achieve. First of all, if you get a natal reading, that's going to let you know what sect you are, your benefics, your malefics. It's going to teach you what planets are your strong planets, what planets are the ones that you need to take a second look off after and make sure that you're checking these boxes whenever those planets are transiting in your house. The other, you can also find out your lots, fixed stars, your asteroids during a natal reading, depending on the astrologer that you choose and what they intuitively gravitate to, because what they gravitate to, they've been doing it for a while. They know what to pick out and grasp out of that chart so they can focus on certain aspects. And if you want to know a particular thing, seek out an astrologer who says, hey, I want to know where all my lots are, or, you know, that is done with Hellenistic astrology. Yeah, so that's,
yeah, and that's the astrology that me and Donna practice, Hellenistic, plus a little bit of horary.
yes.
We've just finished our horary course, horary practitioners course. So yeah, which is all about asking questions. You know, the question of the hour. It's, you know, where is my missing cat? Where is this? You know, does he love me?
Should I buy that house? Should I buy that house? Does he have the money that he's saying that he does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horary is a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Very interesting. Yeah. And the other kind of reading that you can have is a timing reading. So the timing will cover things like progressions or perfections or the Fradaria or zodiacal releasing. Nobody can give birth, graduate high school, learn to walk, drive a car, and get married in the same month. The average person would die. But with the timing techniques, they split everything up and let you know, when are these things going to be happening? When is the energy there for you to meet Mr. or Mrs. Right or whatever to get married? Or when is it time to write that book or go back to school? Those are the timing techniques that we can use to help you understand when is a good time to be doing these things. When is the energy supportive? When is the planetary energy supportive for you?
Yep.
There any other timing technique I have forgotten? Sure there are. I'm sure there are.
Well, just transits, but I mean, like, you know, perfections, which is what we do with Hellenistic. And I really do like secondary progressions too. They're quite interesting. Um, and then you've got electional astrology, which Donna has done, which allows you to elect a date that's very good for a specific event, like a wedding or starting a business, things like that.
Or doing a project like re-canvassing your pop-up.
Using
Yep,
those moon mansions, yeah.
yeah. And then the other kinds of astrology out there are medical astrology, Vedic astrology, and relationship astrology.
Mhm.
Are there, I think there's a few others.
Mundane, which is looking at kind of like what's happening to the world, and with the what you would call the spring equinox, what I call the autumn equinox, because we're opposite to the northern hemisphere down here. A lot of people look at where that will fall, and in different countries' charts, so that will be very interesting.
Yeah.
We might have a look at some mundane charts for maybe, say, the US and Australia, maybe the UK and Canada, round about the equinox, which will be round about the 21st of March. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That is another thing. I think there's locational
oh
astrology,
yes,
which is
locational,
very
yeah.
interesting. It's like, where does Venus cross would be your love line of where in the world would your love, you know, kind of
Mm,
spark
mm,
up.
And, you know, avoiding those Pluto and Mars lines. A
Yeah.
little bit dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. With the yeah, Pluto and Mars you were talking about earlier that they're having quite a scuffle. There might be with them going back and forth. You were telling me earlier about Pluto and Mars, or not Pluto and Mars, Venus and Mars.
Oh, Venus and
Going
Mars.
back and
Yeah,
forth.
we'll get to that in a minute. They're going to be kind of playing kiss chasey for a month. So, yeah. Actually, should we have a look at that now?
That sounds like a great idea. Did you want to pull that up?
Yeah, let
With all
me
the power
just.
struggles I have in my life, my personal life, I have 5 different kinds of those struggles. With the Venus and Mars, I have my I have the well, there's the Chinese New Year, which just happened. I'm a tiger, my husband's a ram. That would be, well, me and my husband is doing a power struggle quite a bit. Those nodes are happening. The nodes are the eclipses are happening right on my husband's and mine ascendant and descendant. We're the opposites on our thing. So there's
Oh,
a lot of power
wow.
struggles. So
Yeah.
that's going to be real fun on, you know, letting him have, you know, the upper hand, and then I'll be coming through at the end with that Venus. I'm looking
That
forward
will
to
be
it.
interesting.
I'm looking forward
Oh,
to it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the ancient curse? May you live in interesting times.
You know, I do. I do.
Oh,
I do. And
my.
you were talking earlier on the nodes, the north node and the south node, that there's a bending, that the full moon's happening at the bending.
Yeah, we've got the north node at 26 degrees of Taurus, which is actually where the fixed star Algol is, which is interesting. And you've got south node at 26 Scorpio, which is actually where my moon is. But yeah, that's where they are currently at the time of the full moon. And you can see they're 26 degrees and 90 degrees away from each of those. You've got the sun and moon.
So that's what a bending is when it's right exactly in the middle of the two nodes.
Yeah, they're 90 degrees from each other.
Seems to be a critical place.
Yeah, can be a crisis, they say at the bendings. this moon, it's actually, because it's the full moon, we look at the moon position, not the sun. So the moon in Leo, it's at the bendings of the North Node. So the nodes are kind of, in Vedic astrology, I believe it's a dragon. So the North Node is the head, and it's very hungry. It's kind of perhaps a little bit greedy, wants more and more. And then you've got the South Node, which is kind of like the rear end, and it's excreting everything. So lesser. Yeah, so with this moon being about endings and it being at the bendings of the North Node, I just wonder if some people will go perhaps a little bit too far, want too much, too fast, too quick. It's hard to say. It is, this moon is ruled by the sun, and the sun is in Aquarius. And that is where the sun is in detriment. So yeah, what can you do?
Sit and watch and look and see how it's going to play out.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully nothing too bad. The fact that it's at the bendings of the North Node, I think, is a little bit more positive than the bendings of the South Node.
I think so too.
Yeah, but on a personal level, you know, maybe when you're reaching those heights, and you know, maybe sometimes enough is enough. Sometimes there can be a temptation to you know, push it too far and kind of ruin something. So maybe a little bit of, I don't know, discretion, a little bit of
Caution.
Yeah, a little bit of
not so much out there. Hold a little bit back.
yeah, just hold a little bit back maybe. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But what is happening from about the 11th of February, we have had Mars and Venus, which we've got Mars here in the red with the male symbol, and Venus in the green with the female symbol. They've been within 1 degree of each other. And at the 16th of February, which is the time of the full moon, they are going to be conjunct. You can see here at the time of the full moon, Mars will be at 16 degrees 57 minutes and Venus will be at 16 degrees 56 minutes. So they're only a minute apart. So that's kind of significant too. I mean, it's in the sign that's said to be in inversion to this. So you would think it would have no real bearing on this, but I mean, it's something that's happening at the same time. What is interesting is that since the 11th, we've had Mars catching up to Venus. Usually Venus moves faster, but Venus has just come out of its retrograde period, so it's moving quite slow at the moment. If you can see down here, it's only moving at 46.5% of its normal speed. Mars, on the other hand, is moving at 140% of its normal speed. So if you just watch this here, Mars comes up and quickly overtakes Venus. But if we follow it through, and this goes on for a month, on the 6th of March, Venus will actually finally catch up and pass Mars. So she's still only up to 88%, but she's moving faster. So Mars ran after Venus, caught her and passed her, and then Venus catches up to Mars again, which is what the usual way that it happens, because Venus usually moves at about 1 degree a day, and Mars usually only moves at about half a degree a day. So that will be interesting, and they'll be within that 1 degree, which is, you know, close enough to kind of have an effect, and until about the 12th of March. So that's about a month that we've got Venus and Mars really, really super close together. Uh, it'll be a little bit different from the 6th of March, because that's when they move into Aquarius.
They leave
Because
Pluto.
when they're in Capricorn, not Venus, Mars is really super strong. He's in his sign of exaltation. He's like, he's disciplined and all the rest of it. And yeah.
Yeah,
And Venus in Capricorn is very, I always think of her as hard-headed. She's like, she's not putting up with any nonsense. You know, you don't have a job, she doesn't want to know you, you know. Kind of the material girl, maybe, you know.
yeah.
And yeah, but when it moves into Aquarius, yeah, Aquarius is the kind of little bit offbeat and a rebel. Yeah, Venus wants something a little bit different, and yeah, and Mars isn't as powerful there, but he's a little bit more erratic, I would imagine, with that Aquarius energy. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
It sure will. It sure will. It'll be nice to have the the Mars and Venus away from Pluto.
Yes.
That in itself is going to be significant.
Yes.
So can hardly wait for that. The beginning of March will be a very nicer feel to that power struggle, that female male kind of power struggle.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it can be a lot of fun, you know. I mean, it's Venus and Mars, it's going to be a lot of friction, but yeah, it just may not be as wildly romantic as you might want, you know.
No, it won't be warm and cozy, but it will be, I think it'll be beneficial.
It might be sexy, but yeah.
And then the other planetary movement that we have going on is Jupiter is going to be sextiling Uranus, which is it's small aspect. It's not as powerful as the squares or the oppositions or the conjuncts or the trines, but it is still a nice aspect. So with Jupiter in its own sign, has a lot of strength, has its own dignity, sextiling Uranus could end up with a new idea. Uranus is, the significations of Uranus are new ideas or out of the ordinary. Uranus orbits on its side, so it's the one planet that nobody expects normalcy. So so in the area of Pisces, you'll have a little bit of enlightened ideas,
Innovative, and you know, Jupiter likes those big ideas. You know, Jupiter likes everything big and expansive, and you know, there's a lot of enthusiasm with Jupiter, particularly in its own sign. So you know, new ideas and innovative and revolutionary ideas, anything different and unusual is going to be kind of well accepted at this time, I would imagine. You know, it's a great breakthrough type. You know, the sextile, like you said, isn't very strong, but it's helpful. So
yeah. And then the next, it's not really an aspect that's happening. It is if you were in the United States on the 22nd. Pluto is, the United States is having a Pluto return. I have been working on a, if you join my private Facebook group, which all you have to do is give me your address, so that everybody can talk freely. I have been doing a Saturn, what does Saturn look like through all the houses? And I'll be posting that more probably on my website when I get it done. But so far, it's been very interesting. So the United States has been living up to the Sibley chart, which is what I'm using for the Saturn, Saturn moving through the houses. And it
You want me to bring up the sibling chart?
in Pluto. Well, no, you don't have to, because it's just a little quick, you know, note in there. On the 22nd, the United States will be having a Pluto return, which is Pluto is going to be right on top of where Pluto was at the time we signed the Declaration of Independence. That's what a return is. But yeah, after that, there's Mars is doing something with Neptune on the 23rd.
Yeah, Mars and Neptune have a sextile. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, again, it's a helpful aspect. So, you know, you've got that energy and drive, and Mars will still be in Capricorn. So it's a disciplined and strategic Mars. It's, you know, the actual drive and energy and hard work. And Neptune's idealistic. So actually, it's not too bad. I mean, considering Pluto on the 22nd is going to be at its return. I mean, we've got Venus and Mars really close, but I mean, we've got Mars sextile Neptune, which is quite idealistic. And then you've got that Jupiter Uranus. So who knows?
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities for some big advancements if we can get our thinking caps on and solve some of these problems.
That would be nice. Yeah.
On the 24th, we have, oh, let me see. I'm at that in-between stage. Half glasses and can't see with the glasses half the time, can't see with them half the time. Venus sextiling Neptune on the same day that Mercury is going to be squaring Uranus.
Yes. Well, Venus and Mars are going to be very close at this time. They're both at 22 degrees. They're both still in Capricorn, but they will be sextiling Neptune, which is kind of like dreamy. Neptune can be really idealistic and romantic and, you know, oh, it's just lovely, you know, floating along on a cloud and, you know, just movies and that sort of thing, you know, very Neptunian. So this will take a little bit of edge off of that Mars and soften even that hard-headed Venus. So it'll be nice, quite romantic, I would think. You know, they're not in the most romantic sign here, Capricorn, but Neptune in Pisces is quite lovely. So that will help. Uranus and Mercury, though, Mercury's communications and thinking, and that square is challenging. So that Uranus is that innovative, strange, new, unusual. I kind of see this as somebody, you know, people kind of being rattled. I've had this, you know, when you've been out all day and people are at you and everybody wants a part of you and you just want to come home and it's just nobody talk to me. Just leave me alone for 2 hours. I don't want to see or do anything. It's just like kind of burnt out energy. That's the feel I get from that.
Yeah, well, with that square with Mercury and Uranus, you have it's that tension that you're going to have, like you were describing, that uneasy, bristly kind of feeling that you're getting. Mercury in charge of messages. In modern astrology, Uranus was that higher form of messages. So if you have Mercury is passing the notes in class, you have Uranus is the energy that would write something in the sky. It's just the higher, it's the higher step up of Mercury. So both of them have that same kind of where they come from. The meaning is that that message, that getting information, and with the tension, that could be unfriendly or tense messages.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because like with Hellenistic astrology or even Renaissance, because I mean, these, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto have only been around for a couple of 100 years, or they've been around for eons, but we've only known about them from those times. But a lot of older sources, they say that, if you want to look at what modern astrology kind of ascribes to Uranus, that's Neptune, that's Mercury type quality. So yeah, it's very interesting. Same with Neptune. Neptune is sometimes described as a higher octave of Venus. Venus's relationships and all that, whereas Neptune is that more, it can be more spiritual, and it can be more
Dreamy.
Idealistic, and yeah, that kind of higher, whereas maybe Venus is a little bit more carnal. So yeah.
Right. And the same thing with Pluto. Has the match for Pluto is Mars. So whatever Mars is, Pluto has that little bit more energy of that. Those outer planets they move so slow, and when they hit your chart, it kind of, they're impactful because they're there for so long, and they're more generational. Where the Mars, it's like, you're in the kitchen and you slice your thumb. It's really fast, and your girlfriend walks in and says, "Hey, let's go to the movie." So that's a Venus. So it's you can have the quick things, but there are also longer underlying kind of.
No, that's a very good point about the outer planets. When they're making contact with something personal in your chart, they take a long time. And they just move forward one, and then they go back again, because they retrograde for about 6 months. And it's just like, is this planet ever going to leave?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so the new moon will then hit on March 2nd. And we will be back. I will be back with a crystal for abundance. So hopefully you will tune in for that. Linda, what are you doing? And how can people reach you?
They can reach me at my website, which is astrology.scullywag.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. I'm doing readings, and that's about it. Writing articles, trying to get some more information up, and looking forward to doing the next podcast.
Awesome. I've done a couple of articles on my website. I'm also reading and doing readings and crystal layouts. And you can get a hold of me at donnabarconsulting@gmail.com. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
Bye.